We are now doing aspect 3 of chapter 5 of Desjardins' Introduction to Business Ethics. And we are discussing the third of the 3 models of viewing work. First was the conventional model, second was the human potential model, and now we are on to the liberal model of work. Here we want to talk about the meaning of autonomy at work. And we would also like to keep in mind the question of what kind of rights at work are supported by the liberal model. Also, the question that's always with us in this chapter is, does the liberal model treat work as an end or as a means only? The third of the models of work is the liberal model of work. It develops by way of a criticism of the human potential model. The problem with the human potential model is that it forces the same view of work onto all workers. That work should be developing our human capacities. But there may be persons who prefer and choose to work on the conventional model of a job purely for income. Perhaps these are folks that want to work part-time. Perhaps these are folks who want an easygoing type of a job. Yes, for low income perhaps, but an easygoing type of a job. Must we force onto them the view that work must develop human potential? If the human potential model was the only one around, those persons would be coerced into working the kind of jobs they do not choose, and the kind of jobs that would otherwise be available have been taken from these persons. That would not respect the autonomy of persons on the Kantian model. As you've probably guessed by now, the liberal model is the Kantian view of work, just as human potential model was the virtue ethics view of work. So here the thought is that work should respect autonomy, just as all acts that we perform should respect each person's autonomy. Autonomy being choosing for themselves the kind of life persons want to live, making their own decisions. On the liberal model, liberalism here being the respect for rights of the individual, everyone's autonomy must be respected. A person has the moral right to work on any model they wish, conventional or human potential, job, career, calling, whatever there is. Right, we take it that persons can choose for themselves the kind of work they want to do. However, that is the case, provided they make that choice autonomously, of course. And there's the rub. In order for persons' autonomy to be respected, employees cannot simply offer any, well, in order for persons' autonomy to be respected, employees can offer any work desired, except for the work that undermines autonomy. The rights at work are those of autonomy to be respected and not to be undermined. Right, so the rights at work on the human potential model is that employees have a right to work that develops their potentials. The rights at the workplace on the liberal model is that there are rights not to have one's autonomy undermined by the work one does. In other words, work should not be dehumanizing. But here, of course, to be human is taken to be our ability to autonomously choose for ourselves. Whereas on the human potential model, to be human is taken to be to develop all human capacities. But what does it mean for autonomy to be undermined at work? What exactly would be these rights on the autonomy model? The concern here is that work that is routine, monotonous, or pays little does not leave much free time in which one is not too exhausted. right? If work is routine, monotonous, or pays little, one either must work a lot if the work pays little and is dead after work, or if one works work that is routine and monotonous, that too is deadening and exhausting. And in this state of utter exhaustion, are we really living autonomous lives? Are we really in a position to exercise our freedom and make informed, rational decisions for ourselves? All right, one more time. But what does it mean for autonomy to be undermined at work? The concern here is that work that is routine, monotonous, or pays little does not leave much free time in which one is not too exhausted. That leaves very little possibility for autonomy. Autonomy, after all, requires making thought out, well reasoned, and rational decisions about one's vision of the good life and how to go about fulfilling it. One is not much in a position to do that if one's mind has been deadened by routine and monotonous work, or if one is completely exhausted by work, or if one's work pays so little that one has to work crazy hours. Even in the liberal model, then, there would be some significant rights at work, even as one would decide for themselves whether work in their life should be an end or a mere means to an end, right? Even if work is going to be a mere job of merely instrumental value, still it should not be such work that would undermine one's autonomy, according to the kinds of rights at work that we can discuss in the liberal model. Work should not be so monotonous and routine and pay so little that one is just dead after that work. And all one does is recover from it for the next day rather than live autonomously.